Hi everyone, today I'm going to demonstrate how to paint this beautiful peacock head using oil pastels on canvas. So you're going to learn how to use oil pastels on canvas.
This video tutorial is a collaboration with YouTube channel David and Syndia. We decided to follow a tutorial of each other to do the collaboration. So I chose a tutorial of hers, which is linked down in the video description, as well as a channel where she described how to work with oil pastels on canvas, and she painted a beautiful robin. So I used her tutorial and her tips and techniques to do a version of my own on a canvas panel.
Before we get started on the actual painting, let's talk about the choice of canvases. Now, regular canvases look like this, the stretch canvas, and what it does is when you're trying to draw and paint on the surface of it, it's something like pastels. When you have to push a little bit harder, it might get dented backwards. So Syndia in her video insisted that if you're using this, to put a book behind it so that it gives a hard backing and a nice surface for your painting. Now, in case you do not want to do that, what I did was I chose a canvas panel. These are MDF panels that are covered with canvas surface that is already toned. So it gives me two advantages. First of all, it gives me a hard backing of a board, so when I push my pastel hard, it's not going to bend. And secondly, this particular canvas is already toned and I like to work on a toned surface, so I went with a canvas panel instead of a canvas board because it gives me the same feel of working on a canvas but a harder backing.
I'm starting off with using a General's charcoal pencil and drawing the peacock head on the surface of the Proton canvas panel. I always like to do my drawings with charcoal pencil whenever I am using a darker surface. What it does is that it allows me to blend, it allows the pencil marks to blend into the actual drawing when I start painting over it. I'd like to mention that I am using a reference photo from the site Pixabay, which is linked down below in the video description. I recommend this site very much for artists who are in need of a reference-free or rather royalty-free reference photos. It is a great resource. Next, I'm starting off with blocking the general background area with some random colors. I'm using some blue, gray, green, and browns. Not necessarily you have to follow the same colors. You can see that I'm being very sketchy with the colors because it does not matter what color goes where. I just want a general darkish background and some light areas on it as well. So in her video, Syndia had mentioned that it is kind of hard to blend oil pastels, especially if you're using your fingers. So I straight away went to my method of using solvents with oil pastel. So you can see that I am using a random paintbrush, and I'm wetting the tip of the paintbrush sparingly with my odorless mineral spirit, which is my solvent in this case, and I am blending the oil pastels and with the paintbrush and the odorless mineral spirits. This method worked wonderfully on surface of the canvas panels. I felt like as if I was painting with oil paints and not working with oil pastels. The blending was wonderful. It rendered wonderfully. Just remember, when you're using oil pastels, use it sparingly and let it dry a little bit, set a little bit before you add the next layer. Now I'm starting off with the bird. First, I'm laying a general outline on the bird's beak with a couple of shades of brown, and you will see that I will soon come back with the purples as well. For the lighter areas, I'm adding creams and straight up whites. first, and once I have put in all the colors, all the purples, blues, browns, whites, grays, wherever I wanted them to be mapped generally, I will come back again with my paintbrush and odorless mineral spirits and blend them all together to kind of get a blended look. At the same time, I do not want to lose all the lines, so when I'm blending, I will be a little bit careful about which lines I want to preserve and what colors I want to completely blend. It's important to pay a lot of attention to your values. What colors you're using, the exact colors does not matter. Instead of using a purple, if you use a shade of brown and blue, it probably will not matter. But you need to make the darks dark enough and the lights light enough, and the contrast should show up well. That is more important in this case. So I am continuing on with building some layers of darks and lights and adjusting my values till I am happy with my darks and lights and the contrasts. Moving on to the head of the bird. Time to block in colors in the general areas of the eye and around the eye. Once I have blocked in most of the areas, or rather have mapped out, now I'm coming with different shades of greens and blues, because that is the chief and most important color in a peacock. Now I am using a Mungyo Artist Quality soft oil pastels. These are great oil pastels, but I have a set of 24, and I strongly recommend that if you are going to buy a set and if you are going to do a lot of oil pastel work, go ahead and buy 46 shades, because this particular shade has some limited colors. Like I would have loved to have a phthalo blue for the peacock's body. A phthalo blue is very good color for the peacock, a phthalo blue and phthalo green, and this set did not have those colors. Nonetheless, I kind of layered different colors one on top of the others, blended them, and it looked pretty good. Like I was saying, the colors doesn't necessarily always are most important, what colors you are using. Most important are the values, the contrasts. If you get that right, even if you don't have the right colors, you would still can make the painting look good. And thus was in this case. I was very happy with the end result in the painting, although I did not have all the colors that I would have rather looked for. At this point, I'm also adding in my Sennelier oil pastels. Now, Senneliers are pretty nice and creamy. They're probably the softest of amongst the different kind of oil pastels. So I try always to save them for the subsequent layers and not for the fine initial layer, because they lay so nicely. They're so soft that it gets blended very easily. And so if you're trying to preserve the colors, keep the colors true, then probably you should save it for the very last layers. Especially since I'm using odorless mineral spirits for blending, I had to be a little bit extra careful about what color is going where and how soft the color is and how much blending I wanted to get in certain areas. I'm also adding some blacks and blues around the areas where the eyes are meeting the body and the beak is meeting the head. So those areas becoming more prominent, and general darks and lights get to the level where I want them to be. Now is a layer of kind of highlights. You can see that I'm using lighter blues and greens to create kind of the speckled, shiny look on the body of the peacock. And this is where your Sennelier pastels work wonders, because they lay so nicely on top of other colors. The light colors show up so brilliantly on top of the darker colors, and that makes your painting look so dimensional and gives a very realistic look. I'm adding on some whites and highlighting around the beaks, around the eyes, the general shape of the eye, refining that till I get the right values. once I add some white, I'm coming back and darkening the white, the area around the whites with the darks. That makes the contrast even more prominent. I am always all about contrasts because I think if you make your darks and lights sit next to each other, that is the thing that pops up, or rather, that is the thing that makes your painting pop. Time to create the head tuft, and for that I'm laying some browns and purples and adding a little bit of blues as well to it. Once I lay down the colors, I am going to come back with my paintbrush and otherwise mineral spirits and going to blend them together and create the tufty look. You can see I'm also adding some whites for the highlights, and you have to make the contrast pop up, some adding some darks on the base and the top, and keeping the middle area of the tuft a little bit lighter, starting off lightly, but once I start to get things blended, I will come back and make it darker as required. The good thing about oil pastel is that once you have made anything darker, you can come back and add highlights on top of it and make it lighter. It is not like watercolors where it is very difficult to go back to the light once you have put in the darks. So that is one of the other reasons that I like oil pastels, because it works almost like your acrylics or oil paintings where you can go either ways, from dark to light or light to dark. It does not really matter. Coming on to the neck or the thorax area of the bird, I am keeping the same colors here as I have used in the top of the head, the same shades of blue, laying one blue on top of the other and using some greens and purples as well. And blending them together to get the right kind of look. Once again, a phthalo blue here would have been wonderful, but I did not have it, but I still made it work. At least I think I made it work. You are the ones who are going to judge whether this painting worked or not. And again, adding some darks to increase the contrast area. And I think this idea of working on a canvas panel that I got from Syndia, and then we worked together with it, it worked wonderfully. She created a robin, like I had mentioned earlier, and that was beautiful too. And let me know what you think about this peacock and what you think about painting with oil pastels on the surface of canvas, and whether it works for you. Any ideas, thoughts, I would love to know about them. I am all about learning and sharing my art ideas with you guys, and that's all my YouTube channel is about. Hope you learned a few tricks or two from this video, and I would love to know your thoughts, comments. If you have any other video ideas that you would like to see me doing, please feel free to share with me. If you want to follow me on other social media, those things are linked down below in the video description as well, with all other links to materials that I used and other art and videos that I have created on YouTube. So hope to see you back soon. Thank you for watching.